Hey friend, good evening. It is Monday night and we are kicking off week 4 of the Pantry Challenge. I cannot believe we are already on week 4. I feel like time is flying. And this week is going to be a little bit different. Sam is busy all week, and so I'm going to be just making dinners for one this week. He has a ton with work going on, so I will be the only one eating dinners this week, which means things are going to be a little bit different. But I think it's super fun because I feel like so often we see people making huge amounts of food, and here's how I feed my family of 4, 5, 6, 7, but there are a lot of us that are just, 1, 2, or 3 people, and that food can look a little bit different. So I'm gonna take you along as we make regular portions or smaller portions, and I'm gonna just kind of show you what we do to either downsize or make sure that we are using all of the leftovers. I am very passionate about making sure food does not go to waste because we work so hard, we raise our own meat, we know where it all comes from, and I just feel like it is so important that we are not wasting food, and it really is just such a blessing to have. So I try to put it to all good use. So with that in mind, night 1, we are going to make my favorite food in the entire world. Always has been, probably always will be, and that is spaghetti with marinara sauce. I know it is so simple. I have loved it my entire life, so I'm looking forward to this. So with this, I have a pound of the sausage or pork that we raised together, some marinara that we canned up together. I also have some mushrooms in the freezer. And I have gotten a good amount of questions about this. So all I do is I just take my mushrooms, I wash them and I slice them because that's normally how we eat them. And then I put them in a big freezer bag and I have them all year round. So I usually do that when mushrooms are on sale. I'll just buy a bunch of them, wash them up, slice them, put them in the freezer, and we always have mushrooms. Or if my mushrooms are starting to go bad and I don't have a way to use them in time, I will also do that to make sure that we're not wasting any food. So I'm literally gonna keep this so simple. We have mushrooms, marinara, pork, and spaghetti noodles. So let's get this full together in like 15 minutes. All right, I'm gonna get my pan heating up for my sausage. And then at the same time, I'm gonna get my water heating for my spaghetti noodles. And I'm just going to be using a spicy sausage. This is what we raised together here on the Homestead. Sometimes I'll do half beef, half sausage. Since it's just one, I don't need to make a crazy amount, so I'm just going to do bulk sausage. All right, and I am just going to take my meat masher and just get this mashed up a good amount. And because this is already seasoned, it's a spicy sausage, I don't need to add any seasonings or anything like that to it. We'll obviously taste it at the end once we add in the mushrooms and the sauce and adjust for salt as needed, but for now, I'm just going to leave the meat as is. All right, my sausage is nice and brown, so I like to just dump it onto a paper towel when it's not super greasy. And then just pat off some of that grease. You don't have to do this step. I just don't like when my sauce is like greasy. And we're used to really, really lean meat, so I know there's a lot of flavor in the grease, but it kind of wigs me out a little. So I like to just dry it off a little bit and then we'll mix our sauce in. All right, back over at our pan, I'm gonna put that sausage back in. I'm just gonna add in some mushrooms. All right, and then over here, our water is just about at a boil, so I'm gonna add in some salt. And I'm gonna do this entire pack of spaghetti noodles. And I like to use a bigger pot because once these start cooking a little bit, they will lie down and fit in here perfectly. That way you don't have to like break them or anything. I don't like doing that. We're gonna let these boil and then I'm gonna get the sauce added in. All right, my pasta is boiling away. Next I'm gonna add in my marinara. Rinse this out with a little water. And then I'm just going to give that a good mix. We'll let this just kind of cook and come together while the pasta finishes boiling, and we're done. All right, friends, dinner is done. First thing I'm gonna do is just serve up my bowl. So I did put a little bit of olive oil on my noodles. If you find your pasta sticks together, try that. All right, there is my dinner. Now, what I like to do when I am cooking like a large amount and it's just for one person, like this meal, for example, is what I'll do is I will divvy up one container or however many containers I think I'm gonna want for lunch. So this will be my lunch for tomorrow. And then I'll top that with some sauce. And I would do this when I was working in my office, back when I didn't work remote. Then I would bring this for my lunch tomorrow and I would warm this up in the microwave. And then what I'm gonna do is with the rest of the pasta I have, I'm going to basically make a freezer meal out of it. So this is just gonna become a baked spaghetti. And I know these are really popular right now if you add in some cream cheese and whatnot. I'm not gonna do that because I do try to keep my life as simple as possible. But what I am gonna do is I'm going to put my pasta in. I'm gonna add the rest of the sauce on top. Like that. I might mix this around. I think I'm just gonna mix it just a little bit so the pasta does have sauce on it. Perfect, just like that. Then I have some mozzarella. We'll sprinkle that on top. Then I have a lid for this into the oven or into the freezer. This is gonna go, and I just made myself a freezer meal, a lunch for tomorrow, dinner for tonight. And if you are just a one person or two people and this is too much, make a bunch of these little meals and you basically have like a lean cuisine freezer meal. Put this in the freezer, lay it out the night or the morning before you go to work, put it in the refrigerator. When you get home, you will have spaghetti for dinner and you had to do literally no work. So it's a smaller scale. If you are into big freezer meals, I love that. But sometimes we're not, and so just put smaller portions into the freezer and you have literally pre-portioned out meals and dinners ready to go. So that is it for tonight. I'm gonna go eat my spaghetti and I will catch you next time we're in the kitchen. You can't beat spaghetti. It is so good. See you tomorrow. Good morning, friends. It is Tuesday morning and I am getting ready to have some breakfast. I started out with my coffee as per usual and a big glass of water. For breakfast, I am having a breakfast burrito that we have previously made. These have just been in the freezer. All these are is refried beans, pork, and green chilies in here. So I'm gonna heat this up. So all I do is I've just stored these in the freezer. They're just wrapped in foil and then put in a Ziploc bag. I then pull it out the night before and stick it in the refrigerator. And then I will warm this up in the oven for, I don't know, probably like 20 minutes. Depends on how frozen it still is. So these are the easiest breakfasts. If you work out of the house, I think breakfast burritos are a great go-to if you like them. And then for lunch, you saw this last night, we made our spaghetti together. So I am just going to heat this up in the microwave and I have a super quick and easy lunch. I might top it with a little bit of Parmesan, but there is our spaghetti for lunch. It was so, so good last night. I loved it. So we have that other one in the freezer. And then for dinner tonight, I have to do some thinking. Again, I get to this point, I said it last week, I get to this point where I'm just like not positive what I want to do. I know I want something kind of light and healthy. So I don't know. As soon as I get going on dinner, I will bring you along and show you what we're having. All right, friends, it is Tuesday afternoon and I am a little bit hungry. I'm not hungry, I would say I'm more peckish. You know, you feel like snacking, but you're not really hungry. It's kind of where I'm at. So when that happens, I like to try to have a bit of a lighter snack. So one of my favorite snacks in the world, and I've eaten this for years, is these chocolate rice cakes by Quaker. The caramel ones are really good. The apple cinnamon ones are also really good, but like I just have chocolate. So I like to take one chocolate rice cake, and then to it I will just put probably about a half a tablespoon or so of peanut butter. Actually, I'll do a full tablespoon. You could use almond butter, really any kind of nut butter that you like. And then usually I will top this with bananas as well. And it is such a yummy snack because you get kind of that crunchy from this, you get the salty from the peanut butter, you get the sweet from the rice cake, and when you have bananas. So this is one of my favorite, just really quick, I'm feeling peckish but I'm not hungry type snacks. Friend, welcome back. It is Tuesday evening and I am getting going on dinner. I am going to make a citrus chicken and Brussels sprout type situation. I don't know. Just follow along, it's gonna be great. But I do have some fresh oranges here. I need fresh oranges for the recipe, and I also need fresh limes, which I don't have, but I do have fresh lime juice. So I'm gonna call that good enough. So first thing we're gonna do is make the marinade, and I'm gonna get the oven preheating to 425 degrees. So I have two dishes here. This first one is where we're gonna marinate the chicken, and then this one is where we're going to create the marinade. We're gonna reserve half the marinade for reduction, and then we'll put the other half on the chicken. So I'm gonna make it all in this bowl, and then we will do the rest. We'll divvy it up. So first thing I need, I should get a cutting board. Yeah, we're back in action. First thing I need is the juice of 2 oranges. Now, I only have clementines, so we're gonna use the juice. I'm gonna try 3 clementines and see, I don't know how much juice that's gonna give us. So we'll see. Woo! This orange has made quite a mess, so I'm gonna put this towel down. All right, then I need the juice of 1 lime. I have no idea how much juice is in 1 lime, so I'm just gonna, that felt a little aggressive, but that's all right. Alrighty, then I need a 1/4 of a cup of honey, and I'm sure you've seen this hack before, but if you spray your measuring cup, your honey will slide right out. And I'm just using agave because that's all I have right now. Then I need 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. 1, 2. I need 2 tablespoons of a grainy mustard. Whoa, we got an air bubble. Okay, we'll call that 1 because we had a little overflow. And there's 2. Then I need just some red pepper flakes. Then I need a teaspoon or so of thyme. And this is just thyme from the garden. Perfect, we'll do about that much. And this thyme I just freeze dried. We're gonna give that a good mix. And I'm just gonna grab a little spoon and try it. Oh, that is really good. Wow. Okay, that is perfect. All right, now I'm just gonna add my chicken breasts. So these are just thin chicken breasts that I got, thin cut. If yours aren't, you might wanna just cut them in half just so that they cook a little bit better. I'm gonna wash my hands. And now that my hands are clean, I'm just gonna dump half of this on the chicken. And then I'm gonna reserve this half, and we are going to make a little bit of a reduction. I'm just gonna let this chicken sit in here for about 30 minutes. If you want, this would make a perfect freezer meal. You could make up this marinade, put it in the freezer with the chicken, and let it just marinate that way when it's defrosting. But I don't have that kind of time. I didn't plan that far ahead, so I'm just gonna let this sit for about 30 minutes or so. I am starving and being impatient, so I'm just going to get this going. It's probably been about 20 minutes, so close enough, right? So I'm just going to coat our Brussels in some of this garlic infused olive oil. It is so, so yummy. And then a little salt and some pepper. And then I literally just washed my hands, so I'm gonna toss those. Perfect. We'll spread them out a little. I want them to crispen up. And if you have chicken thighs, I think this would be really, really yummy with chicken thighs as well. So I'm just going to throw our chicken on the parchment paper. And then I'm just gonna put some of this yummy marinade over the Brussels because it's really good. And I didn't season them very much. And I did put salt and pepper on the chicken. I just forgot to show you. So there is salt and pepper on this chicken as well. All right, I'm gonna get this in the oven and then we're gonna get this starting to reduce. All right, stick that on the stove. And I'm gonna put the marinade in. And then we're just gonna bring this up to temperature. It's gonna start boiling. We want this to reduce by about half so it really starts to thicken up. And then we will probably be about done with the chicken at that point. Our chicken is cooked all the way through. I just use an instant read thermometer. But my Brussels, I want to be a little bit more crispy. So what I'm gonna do is take the chicken off and we'll let this sit for a few minutes while we finish up the Brussels. And I was feeling like a piece of garlic toast. So I have this pita here that is left over from our gyros. It's just been in the oven. Nope. It's been in the freezer. So I'm gonna brush it with a little bit of butter and a little bit of garlic and we'll have a little garlic bread side to go along with this yummy looking dinner. Welcome back, friend. It is Wednesday evening and I had chicken and Brussels sprouts for lunch, in the smoothie for breakfast. So I'm gonna get going on dinner. And again, I try to use the same ingredients multiple ways to make sure that we are not wasting them. And also I'm trying to clean out the freezer. So if I make a lot of something and stick it in the freezer every time I cook, I'm not really cleaning out the freezer all that much. So I'm working on cleaning out the freezer. So I have this one pita that is left over. I have cheese, onions, chicken, and freeze-dried cilantro. Can you guess the direction we're headed there? I'm gonna make a barbecue chicken flatbread. And then we have just a couple of Brussels sprouts left. So I'm gonna slice these in half and drizzle some balsamic over them just to give them a little bit of a different flavor profile. And that's gonna be our dinner. This is gonna be so simple. We're gonna whip it together very quickly. And this is what I love. Dinners don't have to be the most complex thing to be really, really yummy. So let's get our chicken sliced up, our Brussels sprouts redone, our flatbread made up, and we're gonna be eating here in like 10 minutes. All right, so I just have my parchment paper here with my pita on it. And then here's the chicken. I have 2 pieces left. I ate one for lunch, one for dinner last night. And the seasonings are very mild on this. So what I'm gonna do is chop this up, and I want it to be really, really little. I want it to be almost like kind of shredded chicken because this is gonna go on a flatbread. I don't wanna be like chomping on a huge piece of meat. All right, there's my chicken. I'm gonna grab a little bowl. And reason being, I want some barbecue sauce already on our chicken. Just so we have a little bit of that. Just so we have a little bit of that barbecue flavor. And then we'll obviously put some down on the pizza as well, or on the flatbread. I'm just using Sweet Baby Ray's. It's what we have. I've not found a really great homemade barbecue sauce recipe yet. I also haven't really tried. But if you have any recommendations for one, please link it down below. I would love to try it. Now, for my flatbread, this might seem weird. Hang with me. I like to mix a little bit of tomato sauce with the barbecue sauce. I find that it just kind of helps make it a fuller flavor. And it takes away from such a strong... I like barbecue sauce, but I don't I don't want it like in your face, you know? I like it more mild. And I like the dimension of flavor. So that's what we're doing. If you don't want to do that, just do barbecue sauce. Okay. There is our flatbread. And I'm gonna stick, I have some cheddar and mozzarella in here. So I'm gonna do just a little layer of cheese just to help everything stick. Then I'm gonna put down my chicken. And this is dinner, so I'm gonna do the full piece of chicken because I wanna make sure I get full. I would normally do a red onion, but these were already chopped up. So I'm gonna do yellow onion. I'm gonna top it with a little more cheese. And then once it comes out of the oven, I'm going to put some freeze-dried cilantro on top. All right, now I want to get my Brussels sprouts dealt with. So I'm just going to, because I like my Brussels crispy, I'm gonna put them on the same tray and we're gonna crisp them up in the oven. And I was going to balsamic glaze them, but I'm afraid it might be too much acid with the barbecue pizza. Oh, our oven is preheated. So I think I'm just gonna leave them with this citrus dressing that we have on top. They're a little spicy, a little sweet. Then we'll just arrange them, cut side down. Into the oven, this is gonna go. Just gonna top it with some freeze-dried cilantro. Friend, it is Thursday and it is right at lunchtime. I am starving. I had an apple and peanut butter for breakfast. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. And so for lunch, I am going to just make up some chicken salad. So I have one chicken breast left from the other day when we had made that chicken together. So I'm gonna just slice this up really small, and this is going to be one of the world's easiest lunches. Again, this is what I love about cooking. And I do know that a lot of times people, I get the comments a lot of, oh, it must be so nice to have leftovers. And everyone can have leftovers, no matter how many kids you have. You just have to make more than what they're going to eat. So if you know that your family is going to eat 4 chicken breasts, maybe make 8 if you're able to do that. So that's what I do. Mine's all just on a smaller scale, but I'm still able to make leftover type meals. I guess they're not really leftovers, repurposing meals, because I know how much we are going to eat, and I am able to just kind of accommodate that and make sure that we always are making more than what we eat. So that's how I tend to cook and create leftovers. I know it's simple because, you know, there's only 2 of us. It's much easier to plan, but I hope that that is helpful when it comes to making sure that your family is able to eat, and also so you don't have to full-on cook every single day. I know that can be a bit of a daunting task as well, so this is how I like to just keep things fresh. I have a bunch of crackers in my pantry that are just left over from holidays and charcuterie boards and all sorts of things. So I'm gonna have my chicken salad on crackers. You could do it in lettuce wraps, you can do it on bread, whatever your heart desires, but I have a lot of crackers that need to be used up, so that's what I'm gonna use. And I'm just gonna dice this really, really fine. Not crazy fine, I still like the textural difference, but pretty fine. That looks perfect for me, and I just grabbed out a new container because I don't think my other one would have been deep enough for me to stir in our sauces. So ideally I would have been able to use the same container that I've been storing the chicken in just to reduce on dishes, but it wasn't big enough, so we're not gonna do that. All right, there's my chicken. I also have some sliced up onion. I'm gonna just slice this a little bit smaller because I love onion, but I don't love a huge hit of onion. Straight, like a big piece. So I'm just gonna dice this up just a little bit smaller. Perfect. That's gonna go into our bowl. And I'm telling you guys, we can eat healthy and such good foods without a ton of effort. I think I'm actually gonna do a little bit more onion. That doesn't, now that I have it in with the chicken, doesn't quite look like enough. And like I said, I love onion. And at the same time, since it's all going in together, I'm gonna chop up some craisins as well. This just adds a nice sweet element. I love in the summer putting in grapes, like just quartering up grapes, but we don't obviously have any grapes right now, so I find craisins are my next best option, and they're something that I literally always have on hand, so it makes that super easy. All right, let's give this all just one more pass through and into the bowl. That is all gonna go. All right, let's get the cutting board out of the way. And I'm gonna grab a spoon. And this is the fun part, because we can be as creative as we want. So I'm gonna do just a little bit of stone mustard, probably about a little less than a teaspoon. I'm also gonna add in some mayonnaise. You have homemade mayonnaise, that is excellent, but this is what I have on my pantry shelf already, so I'm gonna use that up. Then also you would traditionally put celery in. Sam doesn't eat celery, so I don't even have celery in the house. But I do have celery salt, so I'm gonna add that in. And some pepper. I am gonna go in, this is looking dry, with just about the same amount of mustard, a bit more mayonnaise. I found that adding in dill is really, really nice, and curry powder is also really good. But today I'm just going for a quick lunch, so I just want something simple on flavors. All right, now it looks pretty good to me. That's about where I like mine. I don't like mine super covered. And then I also have some tomatoes. I have no idea how these are still good. They're starting to get a little wrinkly. So I'm just gonna have some tomatoes and chicken salad with crackers. Friend, let's get going on some dinner. So tonight, I don't really know what the plans are, but I wanna make sure we have food if we need it. So we might have some friends coming into town. They might not be coming into town. We don't know. So I'm gonna get a crock pot dinner going. That way we have it if we need it. And if we end up doing something with them, we can have it tomorrow. So it's really not that big of a deal at all either way. I just wanna make sure that we have food if we need it. So what I'm gonna make is beef and broccoli in the crock pot. This is such a yummy recipe. It's one of our absolute favorites, and it is so stinking easy. So all we're gonna do here is just put 5 ingredients into this crock pot. We're gonna let that cook, and then about 30 minutes before it's done, we're gonna add our broccoli in, make some rice, and dinner is done. It is so good and so simple, so let's get going. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is just put some beef broth in my crock pot. If you have home canned, as always, we love that, but I don't, because I don't raise beef. I could always do some kind of other stock, but I just haven't yet. So I'm gonna do 1 cup of beef broth, and one easy way to eyeball that is one of these cans is 2 cups. So just do about half. All right, next I need a 1/2 cup of soy sauce, and I am measuring this because I don't think there's quite enough. Okay, I was correct. Let me grab another one. Let's finish off this 1/2 cup. Then I need about 1/3 cup of brown sugar, and I'm just gonna eyeball this because I like a little bit less, just because I don't love it super sweet. And remember, you measure brown sugar packed, so I'm just gonna do 3 tablespoons-ish. We can always add more. Gonna give that a nice stir. Perfect. Now let's get this off to the side. And next I'm gonna get some garlic chopped up. I know this knife seems like overkill, but we'll do about 2 cloves. Wow, these are huge cloves. that. Those are really big. We have, what was I saying? Oh, my knife is overkill. It is. But I need to get our meat diced up as well, and I just want to use one knife and one cutting board so we have less dishes. So it's definitely overkill for the situation, but it'll be perfect in just a minute once we get our meat going. Got a little bit of a bad spot on the garlic there, so we'll just cut that off. Let's get this one ready to chop. All right, we're just going to thinly slice these and then dice them up. I should just use my garlic press, but I'm going for minimal dishes here, so not that the garlic press is like all that many dishes anyways, but we've made it this far. I'm just gonna, all right, this is looking pretty good. I'm gonna do one more pass through. All right, into the crock pot that's gonna go. And then finally, we're gonna add in some antelope. Now, ideally this would have been frozen, but I took it out of the fridge too early. So it's gonna be harder to slice really thin, but we just want to slice these, and I'm gonna cut them in half. We just wanna slice these as thin as we possibly can. And you wanna go against the grain, so you can see the grain is running up and down. I want to go against that, so I'm headed in the right direction. And we're just going to thinly slice these. Now again, if this was frozen, this would be a lot easier, but luckily we have good knives, and so it's not that big of a deal. And I do get a lot of questions about our antelope. Antelope is very similar tasting, in my opinion, and everyone's different. If you get it down quickly and get the meat cooled off quickly, it's very similar to elk in my opinion. So we really love antelope. I know it's not everyone's favorite always, but in my house, we absolutely love it. Okay, into the crock pot that's gonna go. Then we'll get this other one sliced up. And just by cutting it against the grain, it will make your meat so much more tender. And that's exactly what beef and broccoli is. It's just so tender and yummy. I feel like everyone loves it because of that reason. It's just really, really good, tender meat. All right, then I'm just gonna bring in my crock pot. Let's throw this in. And this is just gonna cook on low all day.
As I was going to stir this, once it was about done, I realized I forgot to put in sesame oil, and that absolutely makes the flavor. So here I put in just about a tablespoon or so of sesame oil, and I let that cook down. Then I'm just making a slurry, so that is equal parts cornstarch and water. You mix that together and then whisk that into whatever sauce you're making, and this is what helps thicken it up. So we're going to do this about 30 minutes prior to eating. Then I'm going to turn the crock pot back on high, and that will create it to almost boil so that we can get this sauce thickened up. Then I'm just adding in my broccoli chunks, going to give that a good mix, put the lid back on it, and let it sit for another 30 or so minutes. Then to serve, all I did was make some rice in the rice maker. We added the beef and broccoli and sauce on top, and then we topped it with a little sriracha.
Right, friends, and just like that, we are done with week 4 of the Pantry Challenge. This week was fun. It was a little bit different because I was only cooking for one for most of the week. But I love the challenge, and I love to just find different ways to use the same ingredients. I think that is such a great way to be able to keep your costs of groceries down while also making sure that you're eating healthy and getting a variety of foods. So I hope that was a good representation of how I can take one thing and make it into a couple different meals. We are headed into week 5 of the grocery challenge. Again, after week 5 in my rules, I am allowing myself to go to the store. I think it was $40 that I'm allowed to spend on fresh produce if we want, just to help get us the rest of the way through the Pantry Challenge. Honestly, I'm loving it. It's still not that hard. I mean, I think the hardest thing is the snacky type foods. Everything we have is now meal-based, and so, you know, an apple and peanut butter, those kinds of things are kind of out of the question now. But if you liked this video, please consider subscribing if you haven't already and giving it a thumbs up. It really does help my channel. I appreciate you so much for being here and for your continued support. I will catch you all in the next one. Bye, friend.